Well, although most people in academia might not associate aesthetics with business performance, I think that for all of us as consumers of products and goods, as people who go to hotels or fly on airplanes, that actually we're always aware of the aesthetic dimension of the organization or the service that we're engaged with. So, when you walk into a hotel, especially one that you may have paid quite a lot of money for, the first thing that you notice is this a nice place or not? You notice the ambiance, you notice whether there's a lot of noise, you notice the sort of general feel of the place. That's the aesthetic that you're paying attention to in that moment. And so, as you say, although many people wouldn't put it together, aesthetics and business performance, my view is actually they're completely intricately linked with one another, and that any person who's actually using a public sector organization, one of the first things that they're going to be aware of when they step into that public sector organization is what's it like from an aesthetic perspective. Very much so. I mean, exactly. It's very much so. So it is a contact point. I think that's quite a nice way of thinking about it, because whereas many organizations, especially thinking about performance, what they're thinking about, okay, what are our performance indicators? How many rings before the phone gets picked up? How many complaints are we... And so they're thinking about those sorts of things in very sort of solid terms, things that you can measure, which of course are important. But when you think about the aesthetic, what you're actually getting at is something that actually feeds into the number of complaints that you're getting, or just the number of people who walk in through the door because, this looks like a nice place to walk into. So one of the examples that I'll be using in the talk this afternoon, I was shocked. I was in Maine on my holiday this weekend, and most of the shops down the high street of a town that we were in had signs that said, bathrooms or restrooms are for our customers only. But this one little shop had a sign in the front window that said, "You are welcome to come use our restroom." And I thought, what an amazing thing, And of course, just by doing that, they're getting people into the shop, and it was completely busy. It's a small operation in northern Maine, and it's been running for 25 years. And the whole way that this organization runs is very much on a kind of welcoming basis. And people know that the minute they walk in. And how did you get those people to come through the door in the first place? What's the aesthetic that you give off so that somebody making a choice between different places to go into will say, that's the one that I want to go into. So what is that about? Of course, now, another thing that I'll be talking about is your aesthetic needs to be coherent with every other aspect that you're trying to put across. So this little shop, this little restaurant that I talked to you about, so this little cafe, it's a very sort of bohemian type of cafe. Now, if you want to be a very exclusive restaurant, with Michelin stars, you probably don't put anybody please come use our restrooms, because you're actually trying to create a different aesthetic. So it's about thinking about your aesthetic holistically. What will work for one organization won't work for another organization, because your aesthetic is actually saying something central about who you are and what your purpose is.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.